What happens when a global movie star sits down at a daytime talk show table known for heated debates, and instead of playing it safe, he decides he's not going to let anything slide? Make sure to subscribe to Final Take Files, and like and comment for more talk show coverage. So picture this: the cameras are already rolling, the crowd is clapping, and the hosts are smiling that polished daytime smile. The guest is none other than Johnny Depp. He walks out calm, measured, slight grin, waves to the audience. The applause is loud, louder than usual. You can feel it. The audience is clearly on his side before anyone even speaks. He sits down. One of the hosts, we'll call her Whoopi, because yes, it's Whoopi Goldberg, leans forward. Whoopi, Johnny, it's been quite a few years for you. Audience murmurs. A couple of claps. Johnny nods slowly. That's one way to put it. Another host, Joy Behar, jumps in. Joy, you know, this table has had very strong conversations about you. Very strong. Johnny smiles, but it's tight. I'm aware. Light laughter from the audience. Sunny Hostin, adjusts her cards. Before we get into your new film, I think people would feel it's incomplete if we didn't address the trial. The applause softens. You can feel the shift. Johnny crosses one leg over the other. Sure. Sunny, there were a lot of serious allegations. And some people felt the media portrayed you as a victim when the situation was more complicated. The audience reacts immediately. Some boos. Some applause. Whoopi raises her hand. Okay, let him answer. Johnny leans back slightly. Complicated is fair. But the truth isn't complicated. There's a pause. The hosts glance at each other. Joy, but Johnny, you were accused by a woman who said she experienced abuse. And for years, women haven't been believed. Audience applause. A few cheers. Johnny nods respectfully. I agree with that. Women haven't been believed. And that's wrong. But believing someone doesn't mean removing due process. A couple of loud claps from the audience. Sunny, but the court of public opinion had already turned against her in many ways. Johnny looks directly at her. Respectfully, the court of public opinion turned against me first. The audience reacts, louder this time. Whoopi jumps in quickly. Let's not make this adversarial. Johnny, still calm. I'm not. I'm just answering the question. There's a beat of silence. That uncomfortable live TV silence where nobody wants to be the first to speak. Joy clears her throat. There are people who still believe you manipulated the narrative. Johnny tilts his head. By going to court. Joy, by bringing cameras into it. Johnny, I didn't bring cameras. The court allowed them. Audience applause grows stronger. Sunny, but you benefited from the media circus. Johnny smiles slightly. You're a media show. The audience laughs. Big laugh. Even some clapping. Whoopi can't hide a small grin. Touché. Sunny shifts in her seat. What I mean is, the online culture around the trial became hostile. Johnny nods. Yes. Toward me. Joy shakes her head. Toward her. Johnny doesn't raise his voice. For 6 years, I lost work. I lost friends. I lost roles. I was labeled something I'm not. That's hostile. The audience claps again, louder. One of the younger co-hosts, let's say Alyssa Farah Griffin, jumps in more gently. Do you think there's room for both things to be true? That you were hurt, and she was hurt. Johnny pauses. Finally, a question he considers. There's always room for pain. But there isn't room for lies. The audience gasps slightly at the firmness. Joy leans in. So you're calling her a liar? Johnny looks straight ahead. The jury did. The crowd erupts. Applause, cheers, some standing. Whoopi raises her voice over the noise. Okay. The tension is real now. You can feel it through the screen. Sunny folds her hands. You know this show stood very firmly on the side of believing women. Johnny nods slowly. And I stand firmly on the side of truth. More applause. Joy shakes her head. You have to understand, Johnny, For many women watching, this trial felt like a setback. Johnny turns toward her fully. If holding someone accountable for false allegations is a setback, then what message does that send to actual survivors? The audience goes quiet. That kind of quiet that means something just landed. Sonny, are you suggesting she fabricated everything? Johnny, I'm suggesting the evidence was examined for 6 weeks. Whoopi steps in again. Let's bring it back to today. You've moved forward. New film, new projects. Johnny nods. Yes. Joy. But do you feel vindicated? Johnny hesitates. No. The hosts look surprised. No, he repeats. Because vindication would mean none of it happened. The audience softens. A few sympathetic murmurs. Sonny, so what do you want people to understand now? Johnny takes a breath. That words matter. Labels matter. When you call someone something horrific on every major network for years, it sticks. There's a noticeable pause. Joy crosses her arms. But public figures are scrutinized. Johnny smiles slightly. Scrutiny is fine. Assumptions aren't. Whoopi nods slowly, almost reluctantly. Sonny flips a page. Some critics say your legal win empowered online harassment. Johnny raises an eyebrow. I don't control the internet. Audience laughs again. Alyssa jumps in. Do you regret televising it? Johnny answers quickly. No. Because sunlight is the best disinfectant. That line gets a reaction. Big applause. Joy. That sounds rehearsed. Johnny chuckles. It's been a few years. I've had time to think. The tension hasn't exploded yet, but it's building. You can see it in the host's posture. They expected contrition. They're getting calm resistance. Whoopi leans back. Let me ask you this. If you could go back, would you handle anything differently? Johnny pauses longer this time. I would have defended myself sooner. Audience applause. Sonny shakes her head slightly. You're aware that statement alone will upset a lot of people. Johnny shrugs gently. Truth often does. And right there you can feel the shift. The polite interview has turned into something else. The hosts aren't fully in control anymore. The audience is reacting louder to him than to them. The dynamic has changed. Joy leans forward again, a bit sharper now. Johnny, do you think this table owes you an apology? The audience goes, oh. Johnny smiles, not cocky, but knowing. I think conversations evolve. Whoopi, that's diplomatic. Johnny, I try. Sonny, but that's not an answer. Johnny looks around the table. I didn't come here for apologies. I came here to talk. Joy, and set the record straight. Johnny meets her gaze. The record is straight. The audience erupts again, louder than at any point so far. And you can see it, the energy in the room has shifted. The interview is no longer just a promotion for a movie. It's becoming a confrontation about media responsibility, public judgment, and who controls the narrative. The hosts glance at each other, silently recalibrating. Whoopi takes a breath. We're going to take a quick break. The audience is still buzzing as the cameras fade out. And you can tell, this is just the beginning. We come back from break and you can feel it immediately. The energy hasn't cooled down. The audience is still buzzing. A few people are whispering. Someone in the crowd shouts, "We love you, Johnny," and there's applause before the cameras even fully settle. Whoopi gives that practiced smile. We are back with Johnny Depp. More applause. Johnny nods politely, hands folded in front of him. He looks composed. Not defensive. Not aggressive. Just steady. Whoopi continues, before the break, things got spirited. The audience laughs lightly. Joy jumps in. That's one word for it. Johnny smiles. I've had more spirited. A few chuckles ripple through the crowd. Sonny leans forward again, this time more direct. Johnny, I want to press you on something. When public figures fight legal battles this publicly, there's collateral damage. You say you were labeled unfairly. But many feel that by fighting the way you did, You created a culture where women are now more afraid to speak up. The room quiets. Johnny doesn't answer immediately. He looks at Sunny, then at the audience, then back at the table. I would never want anyone to feel afraid to speak up, he says calmly. Ever. But defending myself against something I knew wasn't true doesn't silence anyone. It just tells people that accusations should be examined. Joy shakes her head. But the optics were brutal. Johnny tilts his head slightly. For whom? Joy. For her. Johnny nods slowly. The optics were brutal for me long before that courtroom. Audience applause again, louder than the hosts expect. Sunny tries to regain control. But you're a powerful man, Johnny. Famous. Wealthy. You had resources. Johnny answers without missing a beat. And I lost nearly everything anyway. That lands. There's a murmur of agreement from parts of the audience. Alyssa steps in, more measured. Do you think there's a double standard when it comes to men speaking about abuse? Johnny pauses. I think there's a human standard. And it should apply to everyone. Joy crosses her arms again. But historically, men haven't been dismissed the way women have. Johnny nods. Historically, yes. But I wasn't living in history. I was living in the present. And in the present, I was dismissed. There's a noticeable tension at the table now. The hosts are used to steering the narrative. Today, it feels like the wheel keeps shifting. Whoopi steps in, voice calm but firmer. Let's be clear. This table never claimed to know every fact. Johnny looks at her respectfully. No. But strong opinions were shared. The audience reacts with a low mem. Joy jumps back in. That's what we do here. We give opinions. Johnny nods. And I'm giving mine. A few claps. A couple of laughs. Sunny exhales. Do you feel the media treated you unfairly? Johnny lets out a small breath through his nose. I think outrage is profitable. The audience reacts loudly to that. Some cheers, some surprised laughter. Whoopi raises her eyebrows. That's a big statement. Johnny shrugs slightly. Is it? Joy leans in. Are you accusing shows like this one of profiting off your situation? Johnny keeps his tone even. I'm saying controversy drives ratings. The audience makes that, oh, sound again. Sunny looks uncomfortable. That's unfair. Johnny responds calmly, is it inaccurate? For a second, no one talks. It's that live TV silence again. Whoopi clears her throat. We discuss topics people care about. Johnny nods. Exactly. Joy laughs dryly. You're good. Johnny smiles faintly. I've had practice. The audience laughs and applauds. Sunny flips through her cards. Let's shift slightly. Your new film, you're playing a character seeking redemption. Do you connect to that personally? Johnny finally relaxes a little. Redemption implies guilt. I connect to resilience. Strong applause from the audience. Joy rolls her eyes slightly. That's very poetic. Johnny responds, it's honest. Alyssa tries another angle. What would you say to women who watched the trial and felt re-traumatized? Johnny's expression softens for the first time. I would say I'm sorry they felt that way, he says sincerely. Truly. Pain is pain. But my pain doesn't invalidate theirs. And theirs doesn't invalidate mine. The audience responds more gently now. Scattered applause, a few nods. Sunny presses again. But accountability matters. Johnny meets her gaze. It does. That's why I went to court. Joy jumps in, slightly sharper. Some would say accountability means acknowledging flaws. Johnny nods. I have plenty of flaws. I'm not perfect. But I'm not what I was labeled. The audience claps loudly again. Whoopi looks out at the crowd. Okay, let's dial this down. But the energy is already high. Joy leans forward once more. Let me ask you directly. Do you think this show was wrong? The audience goes silent again. Johnny takes a breath. I think, he says slowly, that when narratives move faster than facts, people get hurt. Joy, that's not what I asked. Johnny looks at her calmly. It's the answer I'm giving. The audience erupts, big applause, some cheers. Sunny shakes her head. That feels evasive. Johnny smiles slightly. Or measured. Alyssa tries to lighten the tone. Would you ever come back here again? The audience laughs nervously. Johnny looks around the table. If invited. Whoopi chuckles despite herself. Oh, you'd be invited. Joy mutters, ratings would skyrocket. Johnny hears it. There it is again. The crowd reacts loudly, they caught it too. Sunny looks frustrated now. You keep implying this is about ratings. Johnny responds, still steady, isn't television about viewers? Whoopi leans back. It's also about conversation. Johnny nods. Then let's have an honest one. There's a long pause. Joy looks at him carefully. Do you forgive the people who publicly criticized you? Johnny thinks for a moment. Forgiveness is personal. I don't hold grudges. But I remember. That line gets a strong reaction, applause mixed with tension. Sunny, so that's a no. Johnny shakes his head. It's a boundary. The audience reacts again. You can feel it now. The balance of power in the room has shifted. The hosts are pushing, but Johnny isn't raising his voice. He isn't attacking. He's answering, calmly, directly, and the audience keeps siding with him. Whoopi glances toward the producers off-camera. You can tell time is running short in this segment. All right, she says, steadying the tone. When we come back, we're going to talk about what's next for you, and whether Hollywood has fully welcomed you back. The audience applauds, still energized. Johnny nods once, composed as ever. And as the show cuts to commercial again, the tension isn't explosive, it's simmering. The hosts look slightly rattled. The audience looks fully engaged. And it's clear this conversation isn't cooling off anytime soon. We're back again, and this time the applause is even louder. It's not polite applause anymore, it's charged. People are leaning forward in their seats. The hosts look composed, but you can tell they've regrouped during the break. Whoopi starts carefully. We're here with Johnny Depp, and we're going to pivot a little. Johnny smiles lightly. Pivoting is healthy. A few laughs from the audience. Joy jumps in before Whoopi can continue. Hollywood. Let's talk about it. Do you feel blacklisted? Johnny answers immediately. I was. The audience reacts, a mix of applause and surprised murmurs. Sunny shakes her head. Some studios said it was about image, not guilt. Johnny nods. Image is guilt in this town. A couple of loud claps. Alyssa asks, have people in the industry apologized? Johnny pauses. Privately. Some. Joy leans forward. Not publicly. Johnny looks at her. Public accusations. Private apologies. That line hits hard. The audience lets out a long whoa. Sunny presses again. But isn't it possible studios were protecting their investments? Johnny replies calmly, by sacrificing mine? Applause again. Whoopi raises a hand. All right, let's be fair. Studios respond to public pressure. Johnny nods. Exactly. Joy sighs. You keep circling back to the media. Johnny smiles faintly. We're sitting at a table with microphones. Audience laughter breaks the tension for a second. Sunny tries one last angle. If another allegation surfaced tomorrow, do you think people would automatically believe you now? The room goes very quiet. Johnny answers slowly. I think people would look at evidence. Joy. That's optimistic. Johnny. That's how it should be. Strong applause. Whoopi looks out at the crowd. This audience has been very vocal today. Someone shouts, because he's right, and the crowd erupts again. Joy shakes her head, half amused, half frustrated. You came in prepared. Johnny responds calmly, I came in honest. There's a pause, not explosive, not chaotic, but heavy. Whoopi nods slowly. Final question before we wrap this segment. Do you feel humiliated by what happened these past few years? Johnny looks straight ahead. "No," he says quietly. "But I learned who was comfortable humiliating me." The audience gasps, then applauds loudly, some even standing. The hosts exchange looks. And just like that, the tension peaks, not in shouting, but in silence that says more than any argument could. The applause doesn't die down quickly this time. It lingers. A few people are still on their feet. The energy in the room feels different now, not explosive, but decisive. You can see it on the hosts' faces. They know this interview is going to live far beyond today's broadcast. Whoopi straightens her cards, takes a breath. "Well, Johnny Depp, everybody." The audience cheers again. Johnny gives a small nod, almost understated compared to the reaction around him. Joy leans back in her chair. "I will say this, you certainly didn't come here to hide." The crowd laughs. Johnny responds evenly, "I've done enough hiding." There's a soft from the audience, that emotional acknowledgement. Sonny, still composed but clearly reflective now, says, "I think what today shows is that these conversations are complicated. And people bring their own experiences into them." Johnny nods respectfully. "They do." Alyssa adds, "And it's rare that someone sits at this table and pushes back this directly." Audience claps lightly. Johnny smiles. "You invited me." Joy can't help but laugh at that. Even Whoopi smiles. Whoopi looks out at the audience. "We appreciate you coming and having the conversation." Johnny responds, "I appreciate being able to." There's a subtle shift here. The sharp edges have dulled. Not because anyone conceded, but because the tension has run its course. Whoopi gestures toward him. "Your new film is out this weekend." Johnny nods. "Yes." Joy adds, almost reluctantly playful, "And I'm sure after today, a lot of people will be tuning in for more than just the movie." The audience laughs knowingly. Johnny shrugs slightly. "I just hope they watch it." There's a final round of applause as the segment officially wraps. The camera pans wide. The music swells lightly. But you can tell, what just happened wasn't a normal promotional interview. As the show cuts to the next segment, the audience is still buzzing. You can see people leaning toward each other, talking. A couple of staff members exchange looks off camera. It feels like everyone knows this clip is about to go viral. And that's exactly what happens. Within minutes of the broadcast, social media lights up. Clips of Johnny saying, "The jury did," and public accusations, private apologies, start circulating everywhere. Hashtags begin trending. Supporters praise him for staying calm under pressure. Critics argue he deflected responsibility. Debate spreads fast. Commentators online say this was one of the most tense interviews the show has had in years. Some accuse the hosts of going too hard. Others say they didn't go hard enough. Media analysts break down body language, the applause, the pauses, the way the audience consistently reacted louder to him than to the panel. By the afternoon, entertainment outlets are running headlines about the clash. The phrase, "Johnny turns the tables," starts appearing in think pieces. Fans repost the clip of him saying, "Truth often does," calling it the moment the tone shifted. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, sources say the producers weren't expecting the audience to respond so strongly. The debate had been planned. The pushback had been expected. But the intensity of the crowd reaction? That caught people off guard. On the next day's episode, the hosts briefly address it. Whoopi says, "We welcome passionate conversations." Joy adds, "And our audience is always going to react." Sonny reiterates that the show stands by discussing difficult topics. But you can sense there's an awareness now, that this wasn't just another celebrity stop. As for Johnny, he doesn't post anything inflammatory. No victory lap. Just a simple promotional post about his film and a thank you to fans for their support. Publicly, the tone remains measured. Privately, industry insiders say the interview reinforced something, that he's no longer avoiding the narrative. He's confronting it head-on, calmly. Some viewers say he humiliated the hosts. Others argue he simply held his ground. But almost everyone agrees on one thing: it didn't feel scripted. It felt live, raw, uncomfortable at times, real. And that's why it resonated. Because daytime talk shows thrive on controlled debate. But every once in a while, the control slips just enough for something authentic to break through. No shouting match. No walk-offs. Just pointed questions, steady answers, and an audience reacting in real time. By the end of the week, the clip racks up millions of views across platforms. Reaction videos pop up everywhere. Legal analysts dissect his statements. Media critics debate whether the show miscalculated by assuming he'd be defensive. But what sticks with people most is the tone. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't insult anyone. He didn't demand apologies. He answered, directly. And in a space built on strong opinions, that alone shifted the balance. The aftermath isn't explosive. There's no official apology from anyone. No follow-up feud. Just a lingering conversation that continues online and off. Viewers are split, but engaged. And in television, engagement is everything. So now it's your turn. What did you think about this interview? Did Johnny Depp handle it the right way? Were the hosts fair? Or did the conversation reveal something bigger about media and public judgment? Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to Final Take Files for more real talk show stories.